Do you ever feel like you're pretending to have everything under control while deep down you're completely overwhelmed? If that resonates with you, you might be experiencing or witnessing high masking ADHD. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Janina, cognitive psychologist, ADHD coach, and ADHDer myself. Whether you've been officially diagnosed or you're deep diving into the internet rabbit holes, I've been there too. So what exactly even is masking? Imagine you're wearing a mask all day, masking certain features of yourself. ADHD masking is pretty much that. It's a way of camouflaging and hiding your symptoms by, for example, mimicking other people's behaviors or natural responses. For example, you're sitting still in a class even though your mind is racing, or you're nodding along while someone is telling you something so no one notices that you missed half of the conversation. As ADHDers often use masking to avoid being misunderstood, judged, or dismissed for our behaviors and our ADHD symptoms. However, masking can have its downsides. It can lead to burnout, chronic fatigue. It can make it even harder for you to get a diagnosis and thus help and support. So what are some signs that you might be a high masking ADHDer? Let's go through 13 signs of high masking ADHD. As I go through these, you can think about whether any of them resonate with you or someone you might know. The first one is over-checking everything, whether it's triple checking your bag for keys or rereading your emails repeatedly. This habit can stem from us ADHDers' natural forgetfulness. It's being disguised as being super careful. So for example, for me, I always have to triple check if I actually got my keys when I leave the door or like my apartment. And it has become a bit better, so I'm not checking my keys as much, but I'm still doing it. Another symptom could be being quiet or avoiding to talk too much. Do you keep conversations short or hesitate to speak, ask something, afraid you will interrupt or say the wrong thing? This silence might also mask the impulsivity and rapid thoughts that are associated with ADHD. So sometimes, for example, we are afraid to ask something because we might have missed it in the conversation earlier. Another trait is perfectionism. So some people with ADHD overcompensate by striving for perfection, which also often causes us to procrastinate, which I know can seem kind of weird. But while these traits might look like we have everything under control, it's often an exhausting attempt to cover up our perceived flaws. Another symptom of high masking ADHD is over-organization. From color-coded planners to meticulously arranging your closet, obsessively organizing can also be a coping mechanism for us ADHDers. Natural chaos in our brain to try to keep everything under control outside of our brain. Another high masking ADHD symptom is suppressing your hyperactivity. Do you ever try to sit still when your body screams to move? Because that could also be a sign of suppressing your stimming behavior and your hyperactivity. And that can be very, very draining and uncomfortable. For example, for me as a kid, when I was in school, I always tried to sit still for as long as I can and at least as long as my neighbor, which became so overwhelming and draining, and I wasn't even aware of what's happening. Another symptom is avoiding emotional expression. So it might be that you're bottling up all your emotions to seem calm and composed, even though you are hiding all that intense emotions that are building up inside you. And this is also not a healthy way to deal with your emotions. Another symptom is trying to listen too carefully. Do you ever focus so hard on a conversation that it feels so exhausting and so overwhelming and maybe even overstimulating? That could also be a sign of high masking. Another high masking ADHD symptom is arriving extra early to avoid being late. If you often show up way too early because of timeliness, you might be masking a fear of seeming irresponsible. So for example, for me, I never showed up late. I remember one time where I showed up late and missed an appointment, but apart from that, I never showed up late and I was always extremely early, at least 30 minutes early, which also didn't really help me get my ADHD diagnosis because I was never really late to anything except for that one appointment. But I thought time management is an ADHD symptom and I'm clearly not showing any time management issues, which was obviously not true. Another symptom is mimicking others in social situations. So you might find yourself copying behaviors or speech patterns of other people in order to fit in and in order to avoid standing out in that group. Another high masking ADHD symptom is taking on too much responsibility. You might find yourself constantly volunteering or overcommitting to tasks to prove that you are reliable and that you have everything under control, even though you're struggling internally and you're definitely overcommit. Another symptom could be overcompensating with kindness or people pleasing. So some people with ADHD mask by going out of their way to be overly kind or accommodating to other people, fearing that rejection if their struggles ever come to light. Another high masking ADHD symptom is downplaying your personal struggles. Do you say I'm fine when you're not, or you brush off serious challenges as kind of minor events or minor challenges? That could also be a sign of you camouflaging your symptoms and your struggles and thus masking your ADHD. Another symptom of masking could be avoiding help to seem independent. Do you avoid asking for help even when you're overwhelmed because you don't want others to know that you're struggling or that you can't do it all? This could also be a sign of masking. Now, if any of these sound familiar to you, please know that you're not alone and you're not the only one struggling or masking. High masking ADHD is actually pretty common, but because we're masking, we're camouflaging, and we're not showing that we're struggling, it's of course hard for others to know that you're masking as well, and vice versa. So if you now realize that you might be masking your ADHD, what can you do to manage that masking better? As a first step, it would be good to identify your exact masking behaviors. So you could take note of what you're doing to blend in or to mask and ask yourself the question, are those behaviors helping or hurting you, especially in the long run? As a next step, it can be very helpful to, of course, seek support. You could always find support from a therapist, ADHD coach, or a community that understands you. And sometimes just sharing your story can lift such a huge weight from you and support you. For me, this is actually why I started posting on social media in the first place, because after my ADHD diagnosis, I didn't really know who I could turn to and share what I was going through because I didn't know anyone else who had ADHD. So finding this community has been so helpful in me just being able to unmask, to show myself more fully and not having the need to always fit in. Another super important step is learning to set boundaries, learning to say no to tasks and expectations that feel overwhelming to you or not authentic. And I know learning to set boundaries is so hard and it's a learning curve, but it can help you so much with unmasking. Another important step is practicing more self-compassion. Remind yourself that it's okay to struggle and that you're not alone in this journey, and that opening up about your struggles can also help you get more support, more help, and again, help you with unmasking. It's also really important to embrace your strength and just remembering that ADHD comes with its unique gifts like creativity, resilience, or out-of-the-box thinking. And you can also take a strength assessment to help you find out your strength and then celebrate those qualities instead of always hiding them or never really paying attention to them and only paying attention to the negative. I know that high masking ADHD can feel so isolating, as it seems like you are the only one who is struggling and going through this, but you don't have to navigate this alone. And by just recognizing these signs of masking and then by slowly learning to accept your true self more and incorporating some of these coping strategies, it can help you to just lift that weight of masking and help you to feel more free and more confident in who you are. If this video resonated with you, please like it, share it, and subscribe to help spread awareness. And together we can break the stigma and support each other in this journey. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next week. Bye!